My next guest says the world has become desensitized to the violence in Gaza. Noura Erakat is a human rights attorney, professor and author of the book Justice for Some, Law and the Question of Palestine. She is highly critical of Israel's actions, calling the attacks in Gaza crude colonial violence. And Noura Erakat joining me now via Skype from just outside of Washington. And you are a Palestinian. And I just wonder, before we talk about specifically what is going on the ground, to describe just what it feels like looking from the outside in, as it were.
Thank you so much, Becky. I appreciate centering that question and what it feels like to be a Palestinian, because so much of what's at stake is actually our dehumanization and the expendability of our lives, livelihoods, that our deaths become numbers rather than vanished dreams and mourning families. As I'm watching this, I'm having intense emotions. I was in Jerusalem in 2000 at the start of what's known as the Second Palestinian Intifada. I was there when one of the first of the 5 people killed on September 21, 2000 was one of my neighbors in Abu Dis. I remember vividly his toddler daughter beating on a picture of him, calling for her Baba. I'm also then reminded immediately of my cousin who was murdered last summer at a checkpoint separating 2 Palestinian cities. Ahmed Ariqat, I want to lift up his name because he remains in captivity in an Israeli refrigerator at Tel Aviv University, held as hostage, and not allowing his family, my family, to mourn him with dignity. I'm now bracing myself because on the one hand, I am invigorated by what is a Palestinian uprising against this colonial rule, and simultaneously bracing myself because I understand and see that Palestinian death has become an index for Israeli vulnerability because of the thorough dehumanization of our lives.
What we are witnessing today and overnight is this uptick in, I don't want to call it tit-for-tat strikes from Gaza and then on the back end from Israel, because tit-for-tat just dismisses the enormity of what is going on. But this has come off the back of recent violence in Jerusalem. And in a recent op-ed, you said, and I quote, Sheikh Jarrah is the latest flashpoint of Israel's expansionist project. The threats of eviction are part of what Palestinians describe as their ongoing Nakba, because the removal and forced exile of 80% of historic Palestine's native population between 1947 and 1949 was not a singular event. We spoke to Mark Regev earlier on, the Foreign Ministry, of course, describing what is going on as in Sheikh Jarrah as a real estate issue. Elaborate, if you will, on what you wrote in that op-ed.
Absolutely. I co-authored that op-ed with Maryam Barghouti, a freelance journalist and researcher in Palestine, who is in the West Bank, and because of she's Palestinian in the West Bank, but because of Israel's violent juridical demarcations and its settler colonial plans of dividing Palestinians and eliminating them as a people, she cannot travel to Jerusalem, and instead, like me, is watching it from afar despite her proximity. I heard the interview with Mark Regev. I had a lot to say to him, especially as he was sharing propaganda that Jerusalem has been the home to what he described as Arabs, he should have described as Palestinians, despite the fact that the Israeli government has been explicit about removing Palestinians. In its Jerusalem Master Plan of 2000, it says explicitly that it wants to maintain a demographic majority of Jews of 70% to 30%, and needs to do that because natural population growth of Palestinians will become 60 to 40. And so they have pursued a policy of removal through state annexation, through forced evictions, through retroactive taxes, through the declaration of land as state parks that are now off limits to Palestinians. 14,000 Palestinians have had their residency permits revoked since 1967 without due process. When Israel annexed Jerusalem in full daylight in contravention of international condemnation in 1967, it expanded Jerusalem's municipal boundaries by 10 times and annexed some 17,000 additional West Bank acres of West Bank land. Since then, the Israeli government has built some 49,000 housing units for Jewish Zionists in Jerusalem, but not a single one for Palestinians who constitute a third of the city's population. Nothing here speaks of equality. This is a settler colonial campaign to remove native Palestinians and to replace them with Jewish Zionist settlers in their place. Every Palestinian removed today from their home is not suffering from a real estate dispute, but faces their life now as a refugee for the rest of their life.
The rockets that are being fired by Hamas from Gaza, they say, are in response to what is going on in Sheikh Jarrah and in response to the violence, they say, that Israel has waged against worshippers at the Al-Aqsa Mosque over the past couple of days, over the Middle East weekend. Do you support that response by Hamas? This is an organization that many will say is filling a void where otherwise a wider Palestinian leadership might be. It's no secret that there has been a vacuum in Palestinian leadership. The Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has temporarily postponed the elections. Many say that actually suits him. So I do want to put it to you. Do you support Hamas's response? And what of Palestinian leadership at this point?
Let me just say that it really doesn't matter whether or not I support it. And unfortunately, I think that the focus on Hamas rockets, which have been ineffective. Israel has protected itself with the Iron Dome system. Hamas has crude rocket fire that does not have the ability to target, is ipso facto reckless, and indicates the deep asymmetry in this conflict, which we should emphasize, which is a maldistribution of power that cannot be reduced to false parities. And oftentimes when I'm asked this question about how I feel about this rocket fire, it's a litmus test about my own moral compass. So here, let me affirm that Palestinians have the right to use force under international law in order to fend off racial discrimination and colonial regimes. This law and this right is enshrined in a moment where the majority of the world was under colonial rule and domination. Now that we're in 2021, that seems incredibly anachronistic. And rather than focus on the absurdity that this colonialism remains intact by one of the 11th most military powers in the world, the only nuclear power in the Middle East. Instead, we are focusing on the tactics that Palestinians are using. That said, I think that the emphasis should be on lifting the siege on Gaza. They remain in an open-air prison. And as Israel now initiates a bombardment of the Gaza Strip, I want the audience to know that Palestinians cannot even become refugees of war because Israel has sealed those borders.
Where is the United States in all of this? And I ask you that because many leaders from around the world and indeed in the Arab region have reacted. We have heard nothing from the White House, or certainly from the US president himself. But I do want you to have a listen and respond to the exchange between Ned Price, the White House spokesman, and a reporter. Have a listen, Noura.
Do Palestinians have a right to self-defense?
Broadly speaking, Saeed, we believe in the concept of self-defense. We believe it applies to any state. I don't think that. I certainly wouldn't want my words to be construed as.
I understand. I want to ask you, and I don't want to harp on this either, but you know, the Israelis killed 13 people just now, you know, including maybe 5 or 6 children. Do you condemn that? Do you condemn the killing of children?
Saeed,
I'm asking, do you condemn the killing of Palestinian children?
Obviously, and these reports are just emerging, and I understand, I was just speaking to the team, I understand we don't have independent confirmation of facts on the ground yet, so I'm very hesitant to get into reports that are just emerging. Obviously, the deaths of civilians, be they Israeli or Palestinians, are something we would take very seriously.
With respect to Ned Price, let me just let our viewers know, Noura, that that was an exchange that happened yesterday evening, US time. But what do you, and he is the State Department spokesman rather than the White House spokesman, so my mistake there. But what do you make of Washington's position at this point?
Washington's position has remained consistent when it became Israel's primary patron in 1967 under the Lyndon B. Johnson administration, where it talks out of both sides of its mouth by providing unequivocal military economic support to Israel at the same time that it offers empty platitudes about peace and the two-state solution, which is essentially a liberal veneer for Israel's settler colonial expansion and violence. The Biden administration has signaled that it is no different than the Trump administration, which the world, was uproarious about because of his flagrant, brazen violence and disrespect of human rights. And yet the Biden administration has not changed course. When Trump moved the embassy, the U.S. embassy, from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, the world was uproarious, and Palestinians said, we're not mourning the loss of a capital of an inchoate state. We are now mourning the fact that we are told that we don't belong. And here is the Biden administration literally overseeing our removal based on the statement that we do not belong there and can be removed and placed anywhere else.
With that, we will leave it there. We are, though, delighted to have you on today. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. A Palestinian perspective there with Noura Erakat.